So I'm looking ahead to this week's UFC Fight Night. It's meant to be Amir Albazi taking on Tatsuro Taira, but it's been reports that the main event is off, with most of them implying that it's Amir Albazi, with Tatsuro Taira still training, hoping to stay on the card. No official report as of yet from the UFC, but all of the reports are saying that, they're scrambling to get a new main event for this card. And if that is true, then the UFC is probably waiting to do so before they make an official announcement. Probably say this one's off, but we got this one for you. But I'll keep you updated, so make sure you're following the page. And as soon as I hear anything, I'll let you guys know. But for now, I'm gonna have a little look at the rest of the main card. Kicking off the main card, you've got Danny Silva taking on Kevin Vallejo. Now, bit of an interesting one, this. Two youngish guys in their MMA career. Danny Silva, 28 years of age. Kevin, 23 years of age. Both of them fairly fresh to the UFC. Danny's only got 2 fights where he beat Lucas Almeida last time out and Josh Culibao before that, both by decision. Whilst Kevin Vallejo stopped Choi Sung-guk in the first round. Having knockout power in the featherweight division is quite impressive, and only being 23 years of age, he's, full of confidence. I'm going to back Kevin in this matchup to get the job done. So, but it could go either way. Like I said, both guys fairly new to the UFC. Who really knows what's going to happen? And then we have Neil Magny taking on Eliz. This is a tricky name to say. Let's see how we get on. Elizu Zaleski dos Santos. Think I nailed it. But yeah, 2 older guys, been around in the game for quite some time. Dos Santos, 38 years of age. Neil Magny, 37 years of age. And Neil Magny coming off back-to-back KO losses to Carlos Prates and Michael Morales, which it's going to be interesting to see how Neil Magny bounces back, because he hasn't been knocked out since 2018. So how is he going to look in his return? And also being a lot older now, 37 years of age, coming off back-to-back KO losses. It's not a good look for him. It's going to be interesting to see. But this is the kind of matchup I do typically expect Neil Magny to win. He'll kind of stick and move, poke his opponent, prod his opponent from the outside, play it safe almost, but, point score kind of tactics. And yeah, so if Neil Magny looks okay, I'm going to back him to get the victory in this fight. And then we have Cara Rosa taking on Nora Cornell. And I am going to back Cara Rosa in this one. She's 30 years of age. And Nora Cornell being 35 years of age. And Nora Cornell only 11 professional MMA fights, whilst Cara Rosa has been in the UFC since 2019, 25 professional MMA fights on her record. So, and she's the younger lady out of the 2. So I'm going to back her to get the job done. She's younger, she's fresher, and she's more experienced. So I'm going to back her to make Nora Cornell go 2-2 in her UFC career at this point. And then we have Elvis Brenner taking on Esteban Ribovics. This should be an interesting fight. I'm hoping for a barn burner, but you never know. But Elvis Brenner, he came into the UFC and looked impressive, going 3-0 in 2023. But now he's gone 0-2 in 2024. So he's 3-2 overall in his UFC career. Whilst Esteban Ribovics, he is coming off a loss to Nasrat Haqparast. I believe I said that right. Back in earlier in the year, start of the year, back in March. But he has been impressive. He had that crazy knockout against Terence McKinney in 2024. And he's also defeated Daniel Zellhuber. So I just think he's been more successful at a higher level. And he's entertaining. And he's very skilled. So I'm backing Esteban Ribovics to get the job done against Elvis Brenner. And then lastly, in the current co-main event, because you never know with the UFC, will it just get bumped to a main event, which would be a bit underwhelming. But what's currently booked is Mateusz Rebecki against Chris Duncan. Now, this is an interesting fight. It could go either way, in my opinion. You got Chris Duncan, very well rounded, but he can be a bit slow and steady to get going. Takes him a while maybe to kind of find his flow and find his range and really start to look to take over in the fight. In his Contender Series, when he got given a contract, he had to make a comeback and he put an impressive display in the end and he got the job done. But against someone like Mateusz Rebecki, who's very well tucked, he's almost a little bundle of muscle ready to explode on his opponents. And that's what he does. And, if Chris Duncan's kind of pop shotting maybe 1s and 2s and then Rebecki's coming in with 3 and 4s at a time, then, Chris Duncan could get a bit behind on the scorecard and have to pull off one of them comeback performances, whilst it's going to be hard to do against someone like Rebecki, who's very, like I said, defensively minded, but also likes to explode in his attacks. So I am going to lean towards Mateusz Rebecki to get the job done in this fight, which you know, it's tricky to say being a Brit like myself and Chris Duncan being from Scotland. So I would like to see him get the job done, but I am leaning towards Mateusz Rebecki to get the job done in this fight. Let me know your thoughts on this card. Like I said, it's not the biggest sort of name value card. It's a UFC fight night. A lot of sort of casuals might tune off, but there could be some entertaining matchups on there, like I said. So I hope you all tune in anyway, because some of these cards, even when there's not the name value on there, these guys are trying to make a name for themselves and they'll put on a performance for the fans. So let me know your thoughts on the card in general, and let me know what you're thinking about that main event. Who would you match Tatsuro Taira with if you had a magic wand and you could throw someone in there if Amir Albazi is off? But yeah, as soon as I get an update on that main event, I'll let you guys know. So make sure you're following the page and drop me a comment also. Peace.